like 5 a.m. in the morning and train until like 8. And then I would have to also train in the evening as well. I only had a month to prepare for this role. So we really had to go in a lot of pressure, a lot of force to, at least make it believable. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't know that I could do that. And speaking of resilience, I think even preparing for this role took a lot of from me as well to push myself, because I didn't think I could do something like this. So it was very challenging for me. But yeah, we pushed through, and as you can see, it was just such a beautiful movie. I was saying that I've seen this movie 5 times, but every time it just feels different. It tugs like a different, part of my heart. So yeah.
What are memorable moments?
Memorable moments? Yeah. I mean, I guess the day where I shot like 21 hours on set when we were boxing. Yeah, we were shooting, and we were actually at the arena, and it was so hectic. Like, we were busy shooting the scene, and they were preparing to do a concert, so we had to shoot around that. But I think also, another thing was just building, the relationship with Clark. She's just such an amazing human being, and she was so generous with, information about herself, and she really let me into her life and embraced me as a sister, which helped me also, portray her life on screen. So yeah, it was memorable just building the relationship with her and others on set as well.
One last one. You mentioned this, you've been acting since you were a child.
Yeah.
How do you rate this particular role among the many roles?
This is by far the most challenging role that I've ever had to do. Not only because of the story, but also just the environment that I had to, shoot in. The preparation that it took for me to do this. I mean, I'm doing something that's so completely besides myself. I'm representing people that I usually don't interact with every day, in terms of just coming from South Africa and portraying an East African story. I really had to delve into the culture and understand, these women's story and what they're about. And not with a lot of time to prepare for that, by the way. But yeah, it was challenging, but just rewarding at the same time.
It's been 4 years. 4 years since we've been following them, in the docuseries, and then Matt decided to do a feature film. That's when we brought Alma, and then the real ladies, they're actually in the movie. Yes.
Outside of production, how much work as the co-producer? How much work has gone into producing?
So I would say, my role is production manager, and as if anyone knows a production manager, I'm responsible for everything on set, everything. So I put in a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of hours. It was crazy. And as my first international project, it was very hard for me. Yeah, it was.
Well, Matt, iyi ni projet ya kabiri tumaze gukorana. Ya mbere yari film yitwa The Volunteer, nagira hasohotse episode ebyiri. Actually The Volunteer irimo abakinnyi bakomeye, harimo umwe mu bantu bakina muri Suits the series, ariko iracyari a work in progress. Iyo twayikoze 2019, so nibwo twamenyanye. And then haje no projet aramamagara arambwira, look, harimo role numva wakora neza, buri muntu ari mu mirwano, akababaro, ndashaka uzanemo the softness, wa muntu usa nkaho aturisha the storyline. So that's how it came. Bambwira kujya gukinira Goma, niho twari bikinire, harimo parts zimwe na zimwe twagomba gukorera Goma, izindi zari hano mu Rwanda. Amen. Nawe ariwe nabanje kugira ako numva muzehe yagiye, ahubwo muzehe yagiye kuyarya. Who am I? Anyway, nsoma na script mbona ni role nziza, and then mbona umuntu tugiye gukorana is an international act. Avuga this will be good. Nuko. Yeah.
It's an international movie.
Yeah.
In your acting career among the many things, what does this mean for you?
Maze gukina mu mafilime atandukanye ari international, harimo Shake Hands with the Devil, Shooting Dogs, Operation Turquoise. Iyi ngiyi wenda ikitandukaniyeho nuko inkuru wenda zimwe izo nakoze nyinshi zavugaga ku mateka y'u Rwanda, jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Iyi ngiyi yari itandukanyeho, yavugaga inkuru y'umukobwa wakuriye Kongo, ariko nanone akaba ari inkuru ihuriweho n'abakobwa benshi hirya no hino ku isi. So kuba narayigizemo uruhare, kuba narazanye ubushobozi bwanjye muri iyo filime, ni ibintu bishimishije ku buryo n'umukobwa wese wayibona. Mu by'ukuri ijyanye n'ibyo kurwana n'icyo, ariko buri muntu afite imirwano acamo mu buzima bwe itandukanye, and I was the calm voice in it and I loved it. Yeah.
My name is Ntirushwa Yannick. I am the executive director for the American Chamber of Commerce, and this movie for me was personal because I was lucky enough to go watch it in New York in May. The first time I saw this movie, it was different, right? And you can imagine as a Rwandan, but from East Africa, being in a space that was showing a movie from our continent. The funny story about the movie that I always tell everyone is that after the movie ended, we went for an after party and I talked to Matt and Clarisse and said, I promise you guys before the end of this year, I want to bring this movie to Rwanda. And here we are today. And yeah. No, and it started like that. But our biggest partners, or the conversation was that, how do we do it the right way? So this movie portrays women's resilience, women's empowerment, women's mental health. And from the American Chamber space, we work a lot in these spaces. So when we were planning an event, a platform around women's mental health and gender equity, I decided to take advantage of it and talk to the team from the movie production, and they were on board. And even in addition to that, they're like, let's get Ahmad here. But what I think is amazing is that this movie for the first time is being shown in Rwanda. It's been watched, and I'm pretty sure you guys have talked to a lot of the actors. It's their first time watching the movie. So we are so proud that we're able to bring it here, and everyone actually got to watch it for the first time in Rwanda, from Rwandan space, from an East African space.
Awesome stuff. What does it have to play when it comes to marketing the brand of our country, visit Rwanda, and everything beyond that?
I love that question because, like, if you look at this movie, like, you have 90% of these actors were Rwandans, right? But, like, let's put even Rwanda aside for a second. You have the BK Arena, which was portrayed in this movie, which was already a platform of a space that is in this country. But in addition to that, you look at this movie and say, it's not just a story of Congo, but it's the story of most of the people that we know. End of this movie, I've talked to a lot of the people out here. Everyone was saying that, I saw someone, I've seen this. I've worked in communities that have these realities. So this doesn't only portray the space of Rwanda, but also at the same time showcases that this is real in the space that we live in.
Leutwyler, I saw photos of the real boxers that this is based on Instagram. A Congolese photographer had done a series of photographs of them for an article, I think in the Independent, the British newspaper, and so then I just wanted to meet them, so Innocent, one of the producers on the film, he tracked them down for me, and then I met Kibamongo, the real coach, and he explained to me how he used boxing to as a way to help women overcome the issues that they've had from sexual violence. Yeah.
How easy, how difficult was it, given the situation within the country, this period?
It's interesting because I kept hearing about all that, obviously, and I live in Rwanda primarily, so I understand it. But people are people, and all around the world. I don't care if I'm in America or if I'm in Mumbai, South Africa. People all want the same things in life, and so I don't really have a problem with people. Politicians, religious leaders, those people can sometimes make things problematic. But when we went over there, the crew was mostly Rwandese, but certainly a fair amount of Congolese. Everyone got along great. They all worked, they all stayed in apartments together, ate together. Some of them are still friends, and they all came together with a common goal of telling the story. Because it's not a political story. It's just a human story. Could have been here. If this was 30 years ago in Rwanda, this story could have been from here. But the crisis that's happening in Congo is obviously not happening here, so that's where the story took place there. But no, it was a collaborative effort between two countries that are having conflict. But again, people wanting to come together to tell an important story, they put all that behind them and focused on the task at hand. So it was great. Yeah.
Would you tell us approximately how much investment you've made in producing this movie?
In this movie,
You can put a figure.
it's about $1 million, US. Yeah.
And the period, how long was it taken for you to get that to?
It took, about a year and a half. About a year and a half to make it. And from shooting to editing, doing the music, scoring it. I edited the film in Zanzibar, so I was down there for about 5 months. The composer is from LA, but a lot of the musicians were from Tanzania who did the score, and so we recorded it in Dar es Salaam, and then then we mixed the whole movie in South Africa. So we really stayed here. We didn't do much in the United. We did some visual effects in the United States, and that was it. Like the mine collapsing, and then the final color was done in the United States. But everything else was done on this continent. Yeah.
Yes, mine is involving around the character from Sifa. The same thing that she passed it through. She was this person that she was forced to work on the mining something, and the same thing is still happening.
In places, yeah.
Yeah, in places.
In real life, yeah.
Especially in this great region.
Yeah, and in like north.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could you please suggest something that could just happen to rescue those individuals to get out of those experiences?
Oh, that's a big question. I mean, listen, it involves too many things. It involves the Congolese government, and it involves the West. It involves China. It involves all the people like us that buy these phones and want them to cost $900 when they should cost $1,100. I mean, we're all complicit in the mining and the cheap mining and the slave mining that's happening there. So that is a deep dive question that I don't think I could quite answer without bringing everybody in. Yeah.
More projects in East Africa?
What's that?
Are there some more projects?
Yeah, there's a comedy that we're getting close on that will be a much lighter, but it'll take white savior complex to task